Everyone in the first-class lounge turned when she walked in, confident, graceful, dressed in an elegant navy suit that spoke of power. But when she reached her seat on the plane, a white woman was already sitting there sipping champagne. "This is my seat," the woman said, her tone dripping with superiority. The flight attendants hesitated, eyes darting between them. The black woman didn't argue. She just smiled, a calm, knowing smile that carried years of restraint. Because what that passenger didn't know was about to shake her entire world. "Watch until the end. Wait a second. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this." Ava Richardson was used to people underestimating her. At 38, she had climbed from a small-town upbringing in Georgia to becoming one of the most successful CEOs in aviation. Her company, Skylift Airlines, had revolutionized regional air travel, offering affordable luxury flights that connected small cities across America. But Ava's rise wasn't without battle scars. Boardrooms full of men who doubted her, investors who assumed she was the assistant, and passengers who couldn't imagine a black woman leading a billion-dollar company. That morning, she was flying from Atlanta to New York for a surprise inspection, an undercover visit to see how her airline treated passengers. No cameras, no PR team, just Ava in her crisp suit, traveling quietly in seat 1A, the spot she'd reserved under a different name. She didn't want special treatment. She wanted the truth. What she found instead was far worse. As Ava approached her seat, she noticed the woman, blonde, mid-40s, designer bag, the air of someone who believed the world revolved around her. The woman was already reclining comfortably, chatting with the flight attendant, her coat draped across Ava's assigned spot. "Excuse me," Ava said politely, her voice calm. "I believe that's my seat." The woman glanced up, then down, then smirked. "I don't think so, sweetheart. Maybe recheck your ticket." "I'm in 1A. Ava showed her boarding pass, but the woman just laughed. "You must have made a mistake. This seat isn't for people like you." The flight attendant froze. "Ma'am, perhaps we can move you to another section," she whispered to Ava. "Another section. Not a better seat, just away." The words hit like a slap. The blonde woman gave a self-satisfied grin, waving her champagne glass. Passengers nearby pretended not to notice, but their silence screamed complicity. Ava's heart raced, not from anger but from recognition. This wasn't new. This was centuries old, repackaged in polite cruelty and corporate smiles. She could have said who she was. She could have demanded respect, but instead Ava nodded and took the offered seat a few rows back in business class. She wasn't there to make a scene. She was there to see the truth, and what she saw next, how the flight. Crew fawned over the woman in 1A while dismissing. Ava confirmed every reason why her mission mattered. The flight landed smoothly in New York, and the captain announced that the airline's CEO would be making a surprise appearance to thank passengers for flying Skylift. The blonde woman in 1A adjusted her hair, expecting a photo op. But when Ava stood up and walked to the front, murmurs rippled through the cabin. The same flight attendant who'd moved her earlier turned pale. Ava took the intercom. "Good morning, everyone. My name is Ava Richardson. I'm the founder and CEO of Skylift Airlines. I built this company from the ground up to give every passenger, no matter who they are, the dignity they deserve." The blonde woman's glass froze mid-air. Her face drained of color. The silence in the cabin was deafening. The power shift was complete, and no one dared breathe. When the plane doors opened, the blonde woman rushed out without a word. The flight attendants stood in shame, whispering apologies that came too late. Ava didn't gloat. She didn't need to. Later that evening, the airline released a statement. Every customer deserves respect, period. The crew from that flight was retrained under Ava's new Equality in the Sky initiative. Ava had faced racism in boardrooms, conferences, and airports, but this moment, small as it seemed, reminded her why she fought so hard to lead. Not for revenge, for change, because sometimes the loudest statement isn't made in anger, it's made in quiet strength. How many more AVAs have been silenced before being seen? Where are you watching from, and what would you have done in her place? The next morning's headlines lit up every screen. Passenger disrespected on airline. Turns out she owns it. The story went viral within hours. Clips from passengers' phones surfaced, whispers, glances, the moment Ava revealed herself. Social media exploded with outrage and admiration. But for Ava, the spotlight wasn't victory. It was validation. She thought back to her early days, sleeping in her car after college, building her startup with borrowed laptops and endless rejection letters. People told her aviation wasn't for women like her. Too risky, too white, too expensive. But Ava never listened. She built Skylift from nothing, one route at a time, fighting stereotypes every mile of the way. Now, she was being celebrated for exposing the same bias she'd spent a lifetime battling. A few days later, she received a handwritten letter. No name, no return address, just words. I was on that flight. I didn't speak up when they disrespected you. I froze. I've done that my whole life, watching it happen, saying nothing. I'm sorry. I'll do better. Ava read it twice, then placed it in her journal. A reminder that change begins not with grand speeches, but small awakenings. Still, the incident left her reflective. Why did it take shock and shame for people to see value in her presence? Why did she have to own something to be treated as worthy? A week later, Ava announced a new scholarship program to train underrepresented youth in aviation management and piloting. Because access, she said during the launch event, shouldn't depend on your last name or skin tone. Reporters asked if she held any resentment toward the passenger. Ava smiled. No, she showed me something important, that prejudice doesn't vanish with progress. It just hides in better clothes. Months passed, and Skylift Airlines became a symbol of equality in travel. Her 1A policy ensured that all passengers were treated with equal courtesy, first class or not. Flight crews now undergo empathy training designed around Ava's experience. The woman in seat 1A was never publicly identified. Still, according to staff, she later wrote a private letter to the company, apologizing for her behavior and acknowledging her bias. Ava never responded. Forgiveness wasn't the goal. Growth was. In interviews, Ava often repeated one line, "Power doesn't always look like authority. Sometimes it looks like grace under humiliation." Her quiet defiance inspired millions, especially women and people of color who had faced the same invisible walls. She had turned a moment of humiliation into a movement of awareness. Years later, the story of Seat 1A was taught in corporate diversity training sessions worldwide, not as a tale of revenge, but as a lesson in respect and humanity. And every time Ava boarded her airline, she still chose Seat 1A, not for comfort, but as a reminder of how far she'd come. Because some seats aren't just places to sit. They're symbols of battles fought and dignity reclaimed. So next time you travel, look around. Who do we still make move to another section, not just on planes, but in life? And more importantly, how do we make sure they never have to again? Take care.